It's live. Just a devastating game for the Chargers. Yesterday, I tried to do a live stream as well, and it just didn't buffer very effectively. So I hope that this live stream will buffer appropriately. But the Chargers, they had a 17-point lead, and Kristen, I'm glad that you're here because you're a diehard Chargers fan, and that kick, man. I mean, it was so heartbreaking. But Anthony Lynn, it should have never came down to that at all. First off, the team's up 17, and you're playing a quarterback who can't throw a ball 10 yards, and this Gus Bradley defense just absolutely gets torched. Then the Saints are driving. It's a minute and 40 seconds left, or a minute and 30 seconds left. They're driving the ball on the 10-yard line. And you know what happened? Anthony Lynn didn't call a timeout. He had 3 left. You have to anticipate the Saints there going in and scoring. You have 3 timeouts. It's a minute and 30 seconds left, and they blew it at the end of regulation because they had no time left at the end of regulation because they allowed the Saints to just go right on in and score. And then the first offensive play that they call is a draw play, which ensures your timeout getting wasted. And then if not for Mike Williams making a miracle catch, they wouldn't have even had an attempt at a long field goal anyway. So Anthony Lynn and the Chargers continue to coach to lose. It's 2 straight weeks where being up 17 and this team can't get it done. This defense falls apart massively. I mean, that play, what was it, 3rd and 17? They allow a touchdown to Jared Cook from 50 yards out. I mean, they have losing football. Their running game is absolutely awful. And I know that they're missing Austin Eckler, but Justin Herbert is the truth. And that's the great news if you're a Charger fan, because he is better than Joe Burrow. Right now, he is better than Tonga Vailoa. And I would say that who were the rookie quarterbacks that were in the league last year? Let's see if we can think about the rookie quarterbacks, because I don't know if I would take any over Justin Herbert. Yeah, we had Jones and Haskins and Drew Lock and Jacob Eason. Right now, I'm taking Justin Herbert, the best quarterback prospect in 2 years. If you go back 3 years, are you taking Baker Mayfield or Josh Allen or Lamar over Herbert? Probably. So Herbert is elite. He was elite at Oregon. He's a big-armed kid. He's smart. And that's what the Chargers have in Justin Herbert. But the fact is, you're giving up games, you're blowing games when you're up 17. It's probably the first time in history, other than the Atlanta Falcons, that a team gives up 2 17-point leads, especially when the team is winning the game in the first half by 17 going into halftime. They fumble the ball on the goal line. I mean, it's if you're a Chargers fan, it's unbelievable pain. Ball hits off the upright, misses the kick. It's tragic, and this loss was absolutely awful. Yeah, I mean, that's an interesting statistic. I mean, it doesn't excuse like blowing a lead like that, to an average Saints team, but hey, and the Saints just survive. Sean Payton, they just survive and find ways to just survive. And the Taysom Hill call was a very, very good play. QB film room, what's going on, man? Herbert is an absolute beast. I think you had him very high as well. The mainstream absolutely hated Justin because he came from Oregon, the Pac-12. They have a Pac-12 bias. They have a bias against Mario Cristobal. They really love Joe Burrow, and Herbert was absolutely spectacular. Lalo, I wouldn't panic on Jimmy Garoppolo. I mean, he did have an awful game yesterday. The guy's clearly hurt. You're missing Nick Bosa, who's probably the best defensive player, maybe in the NFL, or maybe a top 5 defensive player. And, I mean, I don't know if Jets fans love Sam Darnold on the 49ers. Like, that's not going to happen. I'd rather have a Kirk Cousins than a Sam Darnold. And, I think that Jimmy G is still the guy there. I wouldn't panic at all. You got to give him at least a couple of seasons. The guy almost won a Super Bowl championship. And man, oh man. The Browns are balling. Jay Rush, how are you? I mean, the Browns have got it together. Kevin Stefanski's the early coach of the year candidate. He's done an unbelievable job. Baker Mayfield's playing really decisively. I said before the season that I believed Baker would have a comeback year. And Odell Beckham, like in his role, he's really matured. He's doing a spectacular job. They're winning games right now. And yes, the Cowboys are flawed. And yes, the Colts are a decent team. But that was a big time win. And the fact is, Kevin Stefanski is an absolute beast. You know, you're missing Nick Chubb. You're going out there with Andrews and Dejo in the secondary, and Myles Garrett's having a sensational season, and Baker Mayfield's doing an unbelievable job. The stats might not say it, but the throws to Kareem Hunt in the back of the end zone, the velocity on some of his throws to Jarvis Landry, this guy is making winning football plays. Winning football plays. Kicker needs to absolutely make that field goal, but at the same time, you need to use timeouts when the Saints are driving. Jay, I appreciate that, man, and it looks like the trade might benefit both parties. You know, yesterday's Giants game was just unbelievably frustrating, just to not be able to get a win when the team actually shows a lot of signs of life, plays very well. The effort is all there. Just these young guys these guys in general need to have a winning feeling when they put in that much work. Hey, Chris, thanks for coming out, man. What is going on? It's my friend, it's our friend Ronaldo. Talking Jets. I think that the Jets are in prime position to draft a quarterback. And Brandon is here as well. Brandon, I don't know if you're a Vikings or Seattle fan. I'm confused. You live up in Minnesota, so go ahead and tell me what kind of fan you are. I mean, I wanted them to kick a field goal there to go up 8. I wanted them to go up 8, and I wanted them to not be able to lose. So I wanted them to go up 8 and not be able to lose. So Russell Wilson, DK Metcalf, unbelievable. What Russell said, too, about making DK Metcalf the next Jerry Rice. I mean, the guy is playing like the best wide receiver in the entire NFL. DK just is a physical freak, and Russell Wilson knows how to utilize all of DK's strengths. So Metcalf, I think he's the best wide receiver probably in the NFL. I mean, he's a physical freak, like we said. He could go up and catch any ball in traffic. He's got the vertical speed to beat you. In terms of him cutting, you know, that's why they have Tyler Lockett for that reason. So he's a jump ball specialist. I think he slid far in the draft because at Ole Miss, you also had A.J. Brown. You didn't have the best coaching at Ole Miss under Phil Lonzo. Now, I know Phil Lonzo is coaching at North Carolina right now. But the point is about DK Metcalf is that he was mostly like a vertical, vertical guy, and in the cone drill he struggled, so he doesn't have like a lot of versatility in routes, but it doesn't really matter when you have Russell Wilson and when you're able to throw the ball down the field. First of all, I mean, the thing is, if it's they went for it because it was 4th and 1, and when it's 4th and 1, what you need to do on 4th and 1 is you need to quarterback sneak it. You need a bigger quarterback. Now, I don't know who's the backup. Maybe it's Sean Mannion, but you need a big quarterback in that situation for your 4th and 1 if you're going to sneak it. It's 1 yard. So the point is that you need to have a really good call in that situation, and doing a handoff there is just not as effective as a quarterback sneak. And Chase Claypool is very good. I think it's a little interesting to do that, but to tell you the truth, Julio Jones is just too much money. When you pay a wide receiver that much money, the rest of your team is not going to be that great. You look at Dallas right now paying Amari Cooper. DeAndre Hopkins is getting paid a ton of money. The Ravens are great right now. Their offense is absolutely fine. They can run the football. Lamar Jackson can throw it. and they're in the prime of their years right now, the Ravens, and this division right now is spectacular. I think that I would give the edge probably to the Ravens. They're playing the best football. I predicted the Steelers would win the division, but the Browns are looking also like a playoff team. I think that the Jets have locked up the number one pick. Now the Giants, they could go and lose to Washington. I mean, there is no telling when the Giants are ever going to win a game, and it's very painful. And the Giants, at least, unlike the Jaguars, unlike the Cincinnati Bengals, at least they're really being competitive in these games. They went to the Rams and were competitive. They played the Bears really hard. They played the Cowboys. So this is the right coach. I think it's the right quarterback in Daniel Jones, and I'm waiting to see what will happen with Daniel Jones and the Giants this year. And with this Garrett offense, they're starting to run the football pretty well. The Eagles, they better split the Eagles. They can beat the Cowboys. They can beat Cincinnati, and they could sweep the Washington, like I said. So that's about 5 or 6 wins. The Giants should win about maybe 5 or 6 games this year for this upcoming year. Gettleman, the Giants still have a good chance to keep Gettleman. So I'm not going to say that he's done. They need to win 5 or 6 games. They are playing much better football. Can they keep this momentum going into Washington? Because they're playing well. If they could sweep Washington, beat Cincinnati, Gettleman has a very decent chance of staying because they can go 6-6 down the stretch. I think Daniel Jones will be okay. He's definitely not like a Justin Herbert. He's not that talented. He can't escape a pocket, especially. And all you need to do as a defensive coordinator is rush 3 or 4 guys. The point is for Daniel Jones, if the Giants are picking at pick 6 or 7, unless the guy Trey Lance slides. I don't know why Trey Lance would slide past the first 3 picks of the draft. I don't know why Justin Fields would necessarily slide, but it's a 2 quarterback draft. I mean, it is Justin, it is Trey Lance, and then it is Trevor Lawrence. Those 2 guys are 1 and 2, and it's like RG3 and Andrew Luck. It's like that year, except with RG3, I think Trey Lance is even better. G-Man 409, it's going well. I know that you must be having a really rough time down there in Texas, and just a heartbreaking game. Again, thoughts are with Dak Prescott. Just a horrible injury, one of the scariest injuries you'll see, just like a Paul George injury, and very sad. And I think Dak had a chance to take money. I think he had a chance to take like 34, 35 million, not getting paid up to the level of Mahomes, but I think he had a great opportunity to get paid and get secured. And that's what made it even more tragic. He's a great guy, but that was just awful to see yesterday. And now in this division, Andy Dalton is a very average quarterback. It looks like the Eagles are probably going to have the upper hand in winning this division. But yeah, we talk about the Cleveland Browns yesterday. We have some Browns and Ravens fans here. That's going to be an absolute dogfight with the Pittsburgh Steelers in order who's going to win that division. In terms of the 49ers, in terms of the Niners yesterday, Jimmy G is really struggling. He's a little bit injury prone, and they're missing everybody. They're missing Bosa. They're missing D Ford. DeForest Buckner is also gone. So their defense is absolutely in shambles. I think the Packers can probably do it because the Seahawks, the way that the Seahawks are winning these games, they always win them in the last moment of the game, and that's why Russell Wilson won. Russell Wilson, when it all said and done, I mean, he just needs one more Super Bowl. He's a top 10 quarterback maybe in the history of the game. He is unbelievable. I'd probably put him career-wise over Aaron Rodgers. He's just that magical. I would put Russ probably over Aaron Rodgers. And yes, he's probably happy. And the thing is about Seattle, it's not like their defense. It's not even like you can name anybody good. You have Jamal Adams, you have Wright, you also have Griffin, who's a cornerback. I mean, their defense, Jamal Adams, he's not even playing. Their defense is not even talented at all. It's literally just Russell Wilson in the 2-minute drill. If you look at the games that he's won, he's beat the Patriots that way. They beat Miami close. Let's talk about all of their games. I mean, they beat Atlanta, but they drilled Atlanta really badly. their defense is not the same. And I know that they had a big stop yesterday, but it's just Russell Wilson. It's Pete Carroll. Pete Carroll is a magical coach. I mean, at USC, what Pete was able to do when he left USC, look what happened to USC. So Pete Carroll deserves a ton of credit. He always evolves over time. He plays aggressively. And I know that Russell Wilson right now, 1 yard away from having 2 Super Bowls. Pete Carroll formulated the Legion of Boom in that defense. Pete Carroll drafted Russell Wilson and played him over Matt Flynn. That's a really good point that you make because, if Justin was out there last year, Herbert would have been taken over Daniel Jones. I mean, the thing is about Herbert is the one knock on Herbert is that Oregon, he lost games when he was leading. I mean, do you guys remember that Stanford-Oregon game? He blew a huge lead. And then even last week, Herbert was the quarterback of a team who blew a huge lead. And then today, he was up, 20-3. They didn't score a touchdown until late in the fourth. So if I had to get on Herbert, it's the inability to sustain a drive. But I'm going to tell you this right now. The Cincinnati Bengals made a big mistake. They listened to their fan base, and I would much rather, 100 out of 100 times, I would take Justin Herbert over Joe Burrow. Now, maybe Joe Burrow comes back and he wins a Super Bowl, and maybe Joe Burrow is that special. But I just look at the physical tools of Herbert. I look at the personality of Justin Herbert, and I'm taking Herbert 100 out of 100 times over Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow had the best college football season ever. He's a much better college player, but Herbert has more skills at the NFL level than Joe Burrow, and I'm going to tell you that right now. Through his first 5 games of his career, this dude is going to be a real special player. Joe is a decent player in this league because he doesn't have the arm strength to extend the ball down the field. And that's the thing, too, when you look at Daniel Jones' poor ball security, and that was an awful play yesterday. I mean, you have Mike Williams there. The defense might be a little bit better. The offensive line with Forrest Lamp and Feeney look to be maybe better. I would agree a little bit. But the receivers that Burrow has are still very good. You still have a veteran there in A.J. Green. Now he's not the same guy. You have T. Higgins that is coming on and looking really good, and Tyler Boyd. So Joe Burrow is not failing at the NFL level. He's not. He's doing decently well. It's more like Justin Herbert is very special. Justin Herbert can throw 60 yards on a line. Justin Herbert is a guy that's very mobile. He's very mobile for today's game. He's very athletic. Even when the guy gets hit, he still makes throws. He's reminiscent a little bit of Josh Allen. Yeah, exactly. And Justin Herbert, again, like he has all the physical tools. You combine that with a great work ethic, and you're going to have it. I mean, Justin, again, the ability to hit a deep ball and the ability to escape the pocket. That's what I'm looking for. And I'm looking for a smart guy that's a dependable leader. And at Oregon, his teammates loved him. And now he's going to the NFL, and he's getting great experience playing against Drew Brees and Tom Brady. Now, it's interesting for Drew Brees. He looked like trash in the first half. Drew Brees was trending. If the Saints lost tonight, Drew Brees would be 2-4. And then you're really talking about a collapse of the New Orleans Saints because this is his last year. This is Drew Brees' last year in the NFL. Talking about Drew Brees or Drew Lock? Yeah, Drew Brees, if the arm strength is not there, he's making the most of his physical tools. The shoulder is, he's overcome shoulder surgery. It's shot. There's no Michael Thomas. Michael Thomas out there just doing really dumb things. I mean, very outgoing on social media. You remember last year, just Michael Thomas is always out there. He's calling Devontae Parker. He's insulting the crap out of Devontae Parker. And meanwhile, he's fighting with Malcolm Jenkins and Chauncey Gardner-Johnson. So So unbelievable. And if you have Michael Thomas in your fantasy league, like, holy crap, like, that guy's done you in this year. But the thing is, you now have Jameis Winston, you do have Hill. It's going to be very curious to see this upcoming quarterback draft, because now the Cowboys too are going to be making a decision on Dak. They're going to be talking about the long term. And there's a lot of teams that are going to be talking about quarterbacks, and Drew Lock needs to come back and be healthy. Exactly. And he is the best running back in the league in Alvin Kamara and Jared Cook. Kamara is the best running back in the league. It's tough. It's either him and McCaffrey. Both get it done every single year. I might give the slight edge to Alvin Kamara, just a better receiver, but it's like 1A and 1B, McCaffrey and Alvin Kamara. But next week, guys, it's going to be fun. Tomorrow, I also have the Buffalo Bills. I have the Bills beating the Titans pretty badly with Josh Allen and this Brian Daboll offense. Great question. Great question about the New York Giants. To me, I am tired of the offensive line and the offensive tackle position. They went out there. They tried to get Andrew Thomas. You got to give Thomas time. You do have Cam Fleming. You have Nate Solder in another holdover year. The way that I look at the New York Giants right now is that I know that you have a kid out of Oregon that's very, very good. It's looking like Jedrick Wills is getting the NFL faster than Andrew Thomas is. But you have Cam Fleming, you have Thomas. Hopefully, Matt Peart can get developed by this coaching staff. But my answer to that question for the Giants, who they should draft, will be Trey Lance in that spot. And the thing is, Daniel Jones, he needs to win at least 6 games for the Giants. And then if the Giants are picking in the top 8, a guy I would like to see the Giants go after, and I know that wide receivers are not really that coveted in the NFL draft, but I'll tell you, Jalen Waddle is one of the best wide receivers I've ever seen play in college. The guy's the fastest receiver I've ever seen in my life at the college level. He is that special. And you look at Henry Ruggs, and for the Giants, they do need a guy, because the one thing is, the Giants have no deep threats, so the defense just loads the box. You put in a guy like Jalen Waddle that's a straight speedster, everybody gets better. Evan Ingram gets better. Freeman and Saquon get a lot better. So the Giants need some pop, and that is why Jalen Waddle would be the pick, I believe. If the Giants do decently well, Jalen Waddle, because you look at Henry Ruggs, and Ruggs single-handedly is kind of different. And the fact that the Raiders have Henry Ruggs, it's why the Raiders were able to win yesterday, go into Kansas City. That was an amazing game for Derek Carr yesterday. Absolutely a legacy-defining, changing game yesterday for Derek Carr. And now Raiders fans have to think that Derek Carr can be a guy who can get them to the playoffs and advance this franchise going forward. I mean, that was an absolutely spectacular performance by Derek Carr yesterday on the road in Arrowhead. So that's a great question on Trey Lance, and it's going to be up to the Giants and Daniel Jones. It's going to be up to if Daniel Jones can literally win 5 or 6 games. If he can beat the Eagles once, he's going to be in close games. He hasn't answered the bell so far. He had a chance to drive him for a field goal. He didn't push the ball down the field enough. He showed better signs yesterday. He's teetering right now. I'm not quitting on Jones, but it's also up to Jones, because if they keep losing, the Giants, they're going to have Trey Lance right there for the pick. Trey Lance is that quarterback. Trey Lance is going to be a stud in this league, I think, because he's mobile like Justin Herbert. He can throw it long again. So these are things that you look at the quarterback position. Measurables, height, hand size, all of that stuff at the quarterback position you need to look at and consider. But tomorrow's going to be fun. Josh Allen and everybody. Tonight was a really depressing game for Anthony Lynn. And this guy in 4 years, if it continues on this trend, he's won 1 playoff game in 4 years. His best season, 12-4, which was very good, 9-7. You look at Anthony Lynn, though, if this turns into a 3-13, if this turns into 5-11, 11. You play Kansas City. You actually have a young quarterback. Your guy, Tom Telesco, your GM, drafts really good players. You have Bosa and Melvin Ingram just spending money like crazy in the new stadium. It might be time to go out and take a swing on a Joe Brady or a Kevin O'Connell. Or if Shane Steichen, if you really like this offense, you can let Shane then be the guy that controls time management stuff. But it's up for Anthony Lynn if he's going to keep his job. But look, Matt Patricia, the Lions, there's a lot of things that you can look at and be excited about. So you know what? I'm going to go pop in a video. I'm going to try to make a video on the computer right now, on the Giants, on the Raiders, on the Lions, on a whole bunch of stuff on Justin Herbert. But guys, thank you so much for watching. It's always great.